This is Jedding Up with B-Reich and Bryan Foti. Hello, everybody, and a pleasant good evening to you live here from the Jedding Up studios. I'm Bryan Foti alongside my co-host, B-Reich. What's up, kid? How we doing on this fine afternoon?
Getting excited, Foti. Getting close to training camp. Weather's getting warm. Let's go, baby.
It's a hot one in the Big Apple here, and training camp a couple weeks away. Jets, we're excited for the season. We've got a big show on tap for you today, so we'll jump right into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about is some impending free agents coming up, guys going into their contract year, looking for the extension. And, Bryan, I know you had a couple names we were talking about at pre-show who we wanted to talk about today, so let's take it over and jump right into it.
All right, so, basically we're going to kind of switch roles a little bit today. I'm going to kind of run the show, kind of get Foti's opinion, see what he's thinking. So to start, big year. We've talked about it coming up for Leonard Williams. Had some good years for the Jets, some production, a little disappointing in some eyes of the Jet fan. But big season coming up. So what are your thoughts on the Jets signing your guy, Leo Williams, to an extension?
All right, well, this is a big season for Williams. Coming into year number 5, he was the first-round pick, McCagnon's first pick. So this is, for me, this is his contract year. He's going to have to put up here, get some sacks. He's never really been a dominant sack player, but they've said that he demands double teams. I mean, the Madden rating just came out today. He's an 84 listed in Madden, so that's a positive. But as far as, taking on blocks and in the run game, he's very well. He's played that role well, but he's never been able to really, be that guy that when they drafted him with this 5th overall, the 6th overall pick back in 2015, that guy that you really see that goes after the quarterback, disrupts the game. He's never been really that disruptive force that you say, wow, this guy's wrecking a game. So he's been a very constant, stable pro for the Jets, but I really need to see him in this contract year here really come out, be able to wreck a game. They know they're double teaming him. You're going to have pressure, but you're going to have to let loose and really, have a big year for me. And I like the way he fits the defense, so he plays a role. So if they do want to extend him at the end of the season, I'm definitely not opposed to it, but he's not going to get max money. If he wants to get a big contract, he's really going to have to step up this year and really show the ability to wreck a game where defensive coordinators are having nightmares, or offensive coordinators, are having nightmares to plan for this guy. And I need to see that this year from Leonard Williams if he wants that big contract extension. But as far as a regular one from the Jets, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, he's a productive player. If he's productive in the run game, he's still a young guy. I really don't see a reason for the Jets not to bring him back. But again, he's going to have to, if he wants a big contract, I think he's really going to have to get his sack numbers up. And anything for the Jets defense, if he wants big money, that's going to help the Jets in the 2019 season. What are your thoughts, Bryan?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he will get an extension, but, I'm kind of in that range of, maybe kind of like a 3-year, $13 million deal per year type of contract. I don't see him making top-end dollar. I think if he really wants to even have that discussion, he's got to have over 10 sacks. But, I felt like Leo's never really fit in the Jets system that we run. I think he's more of a 4-3 guy than a 3-4. But he's never complained, always shows up, never misses a game, works hard, is taking doubles. I feel like this could be the first year where the Jet defense is so talented, especially up the middle, that he'll be able to have some one-on-one opportunity and hopefully some success. But moving right along, this next guy, I know Jet fans love him. I've had a tough time liking him, but I have to respect his talent. I mean, he's been an incredible steal. The Jets got him super late. Robbie Anderson, your boy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Robbie's coming into a contract year as well. Another big season for him.
Huge.
Yeah.
Make or break.
Yeah, big year for him because he's been in trouble before. He got arrested last offseason. He's has the downfield speed that shows you that he's like a one-trick pony with the go routes, can get guys over the top. He's still young, but I need to see this guy go over the middle more. And if the Jets want to extend him, he needs to show me that he can be more than just a one-trick pony. And under Todd Bowles, he really didn't have the opportunity. He has complained, too, through the media and said that he's excited for Adam Gase's scheme because he's excited to see what they're going to utilize him a little more. So I think this is a big year. He's got an offensive-minded coach. He's got a lot of speed. He can catch the ball well. But he needs to – and another thing that he needs to do and work on this year, he can't fumble the ball. He's fumbled the ball a couple times. He's been careless. But it hasn't been in a crucial moment where I've noticed yet in a game. But it still hurts the team. And if you want to be that receiver, you got to be able to go up, make the plays, score some touchdowns, get behind the defense, and still find ways to get open. You always don't have to score a touchdown on every play. And I think this year for Robbie, we're going to find out a lot about him because really in the past the Jets have just used him as a one-route receiver. He's going over the top, using that speed and to get by the defenders and catch the touchdown passes. Those are really all his plays. He's run a couple of decent routes, and we'll see what Adam Gase does with him this year. But they placed the second-round tender on him when he was a restricted free agent. No one claimed him. They got him back, and now he's going into training camp. And this is a big key for the Jets, too. A cog there, like we've talked about in our offseason previews with the offense. We said it, a lot of B-pluses on this Jets. Maybe B's, B-minuses, but no A's. So if Robbie Anderson can go over the middle, in my mind, he could maybe bump that grade up a little bit if he can and be good.
Listen, are you extending this guy or not? What are you doing?
I have to see right now. I can't make a determination yet on coming into the 2019 season. I need to see him play a full season, and then I'll make my determination at the end of the season.
All right. See, I think he's actually going to get extended at the end of the year. Homegrown guy. Hate the off-the-field stuff. Drives me insane, especially a guy who's, very, very one-dimensional and definitely needs to grow up a little bit and, develop. And, you can't have these distractions getting in the way, especially in a market like this. So hoping he straightens out the behavior a little bit. But I think the Jets love him. I think they like him a little bit more than I do. But I think that I could see him getting the extension. I think the Jets are going to make that move. Not sure how long it's going to be. Not sure how much money it's going to be worth. But I think they do end up extending him towards the end of the year. And now we move on to our new slot nickel cornerback, Bryan from Atlanta, signed to a one-year deal. Now, obviously, the 2019 season hasn't started, but do you think this kid has any chance of having a really good season for the Jets in 2019 and maybe getting an extension in that spot?
Absolutely, yeah. I think he does. He's a little short in height, but the Jets really right now have a
thick though, man. Thick, strong. Man.
Yeah, exactly. But they have a lack of corner depth right now, and I think this guy coming over from Atlanta, I've seen some highlights and watched some tape on him. He looks like he hits hard. He plays the slot well. And he's still at a young age. So if he has a good year, there's
only 26.
Yeah, there's no reason why I don't think they can give him a multi-year deal. I'm not going to give him a ton of money, but he's definitely could be a glue piece if he has a good year. So we'll see how he performs. But right now I'm saying, yeah, they need a nickel corner, and he could be definitely a guy that you could see plug in there at 26 years old for the next 4 or 5 years. So in my mind,
I think I completely agree. I think he's a candidate to get a nice contract after this year. Very productive slot, and it's a growing market just like slot receiver is. And, we had Buster Screen for years, and, how many times I'd see you scream at the TV for the holding call. But hopefully this guy can step up, have a good season, and I think he ends up getting a nice extension too. Plus, it's always nice to have another Florida boy on the roster.
There you go. The Jets have never really had, in my lifetime anyway, some good nickel cornerbacks. They haven't really been spectacular. I remember Buster Screen. You've had David Barrett.
Ooh, Toasty Barrett.
Ray Mickens back in the day. He would always get penalties too, but he was all right. But
all right, I'm not letting you go down memory lane. We're moving on.
I love memory lane.
We're moving on. We'll get back to that later. All right, so another guy that they brought in this year. I think kind of a gadget guy. Could use him in multiple ways. Running back, wideout, Ty Montgomery, 26 years old. What do you think?
No, I don't think they're going to extend him. I think this is a one-hit wonder with the Jets. He's still at a young age, but this is just a piece this year with Le'Veon Bell there. I think he's going to be the bell cow. They have Elijah McGuire, too, as well as a young back. I don't know if Adam Gase really trusts him, but I'm looking if Bell's in there for the long haul, Montgomery's there this year, and if they don't like McGuire, if they don't see anything productive, they brought Bilal Powell back, too, but he's probably another one-year guy. I think they'll draft a running back at some point in the draft next year just to refill that. You don't need to pay Montgomery a couple $1 million. I mean, It's just, for me, I would think it'd be silly with cap space. There are better resources to fill that with, and I think he's a one-year player for the Jets.
All right. I mean, I kind of want to take your approach. I'm more interested to see if he could be effective with the Jets. I think he'll be fantastic out of the backfield. I think he can catch a ton of balls. I just don't know about his usage yet. So I'm kind of agreeing with you. I mean, I know the NFL is going to kind of a system where backs are catching a lot of balls and they're, important to your offense. But I think this could be a one and done for Montgomery for sure. And moving on to our last player. Brandon Copeland, 28, signed from the Lions a couple years ago, 5 sacks last year, playing the edge spot. What do you think? Extend or send?
It's an interesting one. My heart says send, but I think they may end up extending this guy, and I think he'll have a good season for the Jets this year. I don't think he's necessarily that pass rushing, starter. I think if Ja'Kai Polite has a good year, he's going to play. But this guy has made plays pretty much for the time that he's been with the Jets. He's not spectacular. He's not flashy, but he does do his job well. And if they're building a defense under Greg Williams and he has a good year, you could probably bring him back on a cheaper, deal to be kind of a glue-like fill-in piece for this defense as a depth piece. So I'm looking at more of him as a reserve role. If he has a good year this year, I mean, maybe if he has a big year, he'll want starter money and they won't be able to keep him. But I definitely think the Jets, if he does have a good season, will look to extend this guy because he's shown up. He's done all the right things, and he's played well for them. So I think if he has another productive season, they will look to extend him.
I'm going to go the complete opposite spectrum. I'm going to say Ja'Kai Polite takes this job before game one and keeps it the whole year, and Mr. Copeland is no longer a Jet following the season, in my opinion. Nice player. I wouldn't mind bringing him back as a fifth or sixth linebacker. Has knows the system. Good guy, never in trouble. I think, but I think he moves on. I think he finds a home elsewhere. So moving on to our next topic. We're going to go with blockbuster moves. I ran a couple polls on our Twitter account, and I came up with some names. And I'm just going to ask you to start. I'll go through the names. You could pick your favorite guy of the 5 that you would want on the Jets the most. But kind of guys who are looking for a new contract, maybe holding out, or not even signing the franchise tag. So the guys that were in the vote were the tackle Trent Williams from Washington, top 5 rated guy at his position, fantastic, wants a boatload of money, but very interesting. Darius Slay, one of the best corners in the league from Detroit, their highest graded player on defense last year. Jadeveon Clowney, the edge rusher from Houston Texans, fantastic. Actually found out today that he will not be signing his franchise tag. So there's definitely going to be a holdout. And another interesting guy, and I'll kind of pair him. I only put one guy down, but Jalen Ramsey and Yannick Ngakoue. 2 guys, quality players from Jacksonville, looking to get paid, but both can play. So who do you like, Foti? Who's your top guy?
Right now the Jets need offensive line depth, so I would first like to say I would want Trent Williams, but then looking at his age, he's 30 years old right now. So, how many more productive years of an offensive tackle are you really going to get? Maybe it's 2 years and you got to pay him a ton of money. I'd probably want to draft a guy. But for the Jets right now, if we could get Darius Slay, our secondary depth, or the Jets' secondary depth is so, I don't think it's good at all right now with having Darryl Roberts there. If they could get Slay somehow and shore up that secondary, and then I think that would be huge for this defense because now Greg Williams can kind of let Polite go get him, let these guys blitz a little bit more, kind of like the Rex Ryan days where they had Revis and Cromartie, and they were able to go after the quarterback. Maybe not the best pass rushers, but I think a guy like Slay, you could probably get him. I still know he wants a contract, but he's younger, and he's going to be a guy that could play and especially keeping himself in shape. He's not going to break down as fast as maybe a heavier offensive lineman. You never know with injuries, but I think for the Jets right now, especially they have lack of depth at both positions. But for me, I'm going after the cornerback because he's younger, and I think he'll be not that he's a better fit, but I just think the age would be a big thing if you're going to make a trade late. And I think the Jets can get by with the offensive line they have this year.
So you prefer Slay over Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, because Jalen Ramsey's going to cost you way too much, I think. The Jaguars, I know he's made some bold statements. I know he wants a big contract, but the Jaguars aren't just going to give Jalen Ramsey away. They were actually talking about at draft time. I think there was a report that the Jags offered Jalen Ramsey to the Jets for the 3rd overall pick. And they weren't even going to give them the 7th pick in their draft, and they ended up taking Josh Allen with their first pick. But I don't think Jacksonville is just looking to give Jalen Ramsey away. So I'm not going to mortgage my whole, even though he's a tremendous player, I don't want to lock that much cap space up in a corner when we have Tremaine Johnson right now. So you're going to have to pay him and then pay a whole lot for him. Where Darius Slay, he's still a good player, but I think you could get him for a little less value in as far as the draft pick compensation goes if you were to make a trade for that.
All right, it's great that you actually picked Darius Slay because most of the Jet fans, I think Slay won by about 10%. I think he was actually voted who Jet fans wanted to see made a move for the most. But, in my opinion, I love Slay. I definitely prefer him over Jalen Ramsey. I think Ramsey's incredible, but I just think Slay is just one of those guys. He's a dog. He's a grinder and, doesn't say a word and just does his thing and just locks guys up and even covers guys extremely well when he really doesn't have any protection or any skill, on that defensive end. Detroit was a mess. And Slay was, the best thing to come out of there last year. But I got to go with your first initial thought. I would love Trent Williams. I think he would transform this offensive line. If we could somehow kind of push Shell to a competition at the guard, have Beachum, Osemele, and Trent, I would just love that O-line. Don't care about the age. Think I could get 4 or 5 great years out of the guy. And he's an absolute monster. Rocks the visor, looks good. He'd be my guy if I had to go. Even though, Clowney is interesting. Clowney does interest me a little bit. What do you think about Clowney and the kid Yannick?
Yeah, Clowney is definitely interesting because I think at this point in his career, he's still young. I don't know what they're going to do as far as trade compensation is for, but because the Jets would have to pay him a boatload of money, I think that, he's a guy that you could probably have him. But in my opinion, I don't know, though. I just see something. I know he got hurt in the beginning of his career. He's been a little bit healthier later, but for me, I'm just not that. Right now, he's just not the guy that I would be interested in. I kind of want to build my own pass rusher. I wouldn't really want to trade for him right now. He would definitely help the Jets' defense. I'm not saying that, but if he's the one piece that I want to add, it would probably be offensive line and cornerback. I'm not going to go pass rusher right now.
All right, moving along to our next topic. We're going to get to know one of the hosts of the show a little bit more. Diehard Jets fan, Bryan Foti.
Yeah, let's go. Segment about me. Love this.
I think you're going to like this,
of course.
Foti. Listeners are going to learn a little bit about your madness and figure out why you're a lunatic. And, maybe this will even help the family understand why you're nuts. Okay, Foti, so how long you been a Jet fan?
My whole life, 30 years. I'm going to be 30 in October. 29 years.
God, you're getting old. Can you explain why? Why are you a Jet fan?
I can't explain why. My dad was the reason, probably. We had season tickets when I was younger. He took me to the games. I loved it. I caught on ever since, and I was hooked. I love football. I played when I was younger, and it was just a great game. And the Jets were always, my one form of entertainment. And still, I've grown out of a lot of different phases, from video games to movies. I still like movies, but the Jets are like my top thing of entertainment. So they're my heart and soul.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Jets have become your passion, Foti, for sure. And for those that don't know,
it's a sad passion,
Well, listen, it's not always happiness, but it's definitely nice. And you definitely have really really locked in on the Jets, and it's been nice. And a little bit more about Foti. He played defensive back in high school. Was a good player. Did a ton of things on specials. Glue guy. Worked his tail off. Made one of the greatest interceptions of JV football history. I could do a probably 30-minute pod about that, but that'll be another day. So back on track. You talked about how you're a season ticket holder. Well, your father was growing up. Rumor has it you are now a season ticket holder. Is that true?
I am. I've had them for the last 2 years now.
Atta
biting the
boy,
bullet,
stepping up.
dropping them, giving the monies to the Johnsons. But it's a lot of fun, having them as a kid. It just was a different, going to the tailgates, going to football games is a lot different than baseball or basketball. It's just the whole experience in itself. Even if the team stinks, it's just like I would recommend just to go to a game, get out to any NFL stadium. I mean, with the tailgate, it's awesome. It's a great experience for any time, a kid, an adult, first time. It's just a lot of fun. And then the game is like kind of secondary. The tailgate's awesome. If the team stinks, then it's just the tailgate's more fun. But if the team is great, it just enhances the whole experience and makes it better. But even if the Jets are horrible, it's still a great time, and you always have fun. So I enjoy it, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah, Foti brings me to a game every year. Always a great time. The tailgates are always great. Great stuff. Great stadium, great staff. Always a good time. So tell the listeners, what's your favorite moment as a Jet fan that you can remember? Your all-time favorite moment.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think. It's got to be. There's probably two of them. I remember. I mean, my favorite moment has to probably be. It's between probably beating New England in that divisional playoff game, watching it with my friends at my house, but then also the special experience that I had with my dad when we went in 2003 with the 2002 season where they beat the Colts 41-0 in that wild card playoff game.
What a game.
Pennington was great. Lamont Jordan had a touchdown. Santana Moss, my guy Santana Moss had a touchdown right in my end zone. It was an awesome experience. But that was probably the best Jet game I've ever been to in person. But my best moment as a fan has to be the Rex Ryan playoffs in 2010 where they go into Indianapolis where he says that it's personal. They beat them with the Nick Folk field goal. Then the next week they go into New England, which I thought they were a better team. They beat them. They split with them that year, and everyone was saying, the Patriots 45-3, and the Jets had a good team. They just didn't play well on that Monday night game, and they come back and beat Brady. Rex is running down the field on the sideline when Sean Green scores that touchdown.
God, it feels like so long ago.
That's the last time they've won a playoff game, and, it's been 8 years. It's going to be 9 years if they don't make it this year, which is insane. But to me, that was just like I was in college, young. Rex Ryan brought the life back into Jet fans and gave us confidence. So that's why I always remember him, and that's probably why it's my greatest moment.
So, as a Jet fan, you talked about it. Like usual, we got to go from your favorite to immediately the worst moment of your Jet, fandom.
Oh, the worst moment of my Jet fandom.
How could you not say it's the Pittsburgh game?
No, it's not, because they were in the championship game. They had a great season. They battled back. You can't really kill them for that. There's been a lot of bad moments, though. One comes to mind. I was little in 2001 when they were playing. I think it was Detroit. It was Detroit. They were home. They were 9-4 going into the game, or 9-5. They needed to beat the Detroit Lions, who stunk. They was like when they were not when they went 0-16, but they won like 3 games that year. And it was a cold, windy day at the Meadowlands. I remember I was a little kid with my dad. There's been a lot of bad Jet moments, but I just remember this one because I was personally there. John Hall ended up missing a field goal from like 30 yards out, a chip shot that would have gave them the lead, and they ended up losing that one like 10-7 or something crazy, or would have tied up the game. And there's been awful moments. The butt fumble could be one, but that one stuck with me. It was a cold, miserable day. There's been a lot of blowouts where
only you would bring up a 9-4 game against Detroit in the middle of the season. So
it was December.
To keep my guy on track, and it's a question that I've been torn on. I gotta ask you, speak for the Jet fans. Are we forgiving Fireman Ed?
No.
Is Fireman Ed back?
I'm not forgiving Fireman Ed. I love Fireman Ed. He can come out opening day any time of the week and do his whole little Jet chant, because it is awesome when he does do the cheer. I'm a FDNY firefighter myself, so hopefully he doesn't go too hard on me, because I do love the cheers, and that was also a big part of the thing. But for me, if you're going to become and put yourself in the light of a super fan, you have to be committed your whole career. Like, that's who you become. You become Fireman Ed. And when he got involved in the whole thing is kind of stupid anyway. The Jet fans really are the ones to blame to force him out, because they're treating him. They were wrong. I'm sorry, the fans were wrong. You shouldn't yell at the guy, but he got involved in the whole Sanchez-Tebow thing, which was ridiculous. So he got the Mark Sanchez jersey. People were breaking his chops about it, breaking his balls a little bit about it. And, that's what happened. And the butt fumble game happened, and they were giving it to him, and he said he was done, and I don't blame him. I would be done too. But you can't now, and I don't think he will. We saw him on opening night last year against Monday night. He didn't really come through when Todd Bowles' his first season as Jet head coach when they went 10-6. But, I don't think do we forgive him? I mean, yeah, you can forgive him, but I don't want him to be the forefront at every Jet game. They got the Jet man now that's there.
I got to step in. I obviously I respect the guy, for what he did. And, he was a tremendous fan for a long time. But I think it's time for some new blood. I mean, I'd even be willing to fund the fireman Foti.
No,
and start that.
I
know you'd never take it, but I'm ready for some new blood. I'm a little disappointed. I think he ran. I'm ready to move on, to be honest with you. But, that brings us to our next topic. We're going to do a little jet trivia with Bryan Foti. The guy's a whiz. Here we go. You ready?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. Don't let me down, okay?
Now everyone's going to see I'm a fraud.
Yeah, pretty much. Number 1. Who is the winningest coach in Jets history?
That's a piece of cake. It's B-Reich, and I'm going to say he's close to about 140 wins.
Correct. Actually, 150. Okay, moving on to number 2. Which Jet has the most receptions in their team history?
I would say Altoon.
Oh, Altoon, number 3. Number 1, Don Maynard. Number 2, Wayno Corbett. Come on, Foti. 1 for 2. Here we go. Moving on. Most touchdown passes in the history of the Jets.
Joe Namath.
Money in the bank. How many times have the Jets made the playoffs since you were born?
Ooh, okay, let's do this. I can go back. The first one I was little. I don't remember where. I think it was 92. Then it was 91 and 92. Then you had 98. You had 01, 02, 04, 06. 2009, 2010, that's 8 times.
Cha-ching! Attaboy, Foti. Beautifully done. Now, can you name how many coaches they've had since you've been alive?
Ooh. Let's see here. All right, so we got...
I'm going to have you name all of them after.
Oh, this is tough. I know. I'm going to go back, so let's work backwards. We've got Gase, Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, Eric Mangini, Herman Edwards, Al Groh.
Yes.
Bill Parcells.
Yes.
Rich Kotite. Now this is where it gets tough. Pete Carroll.
Yes.
What was his name?
You're
this is when I'm little.
3 more.
3 more. Oh my God. 3 more from '89.
No, you're missing Joe Walton, who finished in
Joe
89.
Walton. Okay.
Bruce Coslin,
I was gonna say Bruce Coslin. I didn't know if that was his last name.
You also forgot the Emperor himself, Bill Belichick.
Oh, the fake one day. Okay, you give me a pass on that. I was a baby for Bruce Coslin, and
I will.
But...
All right, take it home. What was the Super Bowl that the Jets were victorious, and give me the score?
Super Bowl 3, 16-7 over the Baltimore Colts.
Beautifully done, Foti. Excellent job in Jets trivia. The man knows his Jets for sure. And now we are going to be moving on to the 2-minute drill.
All right, it's time for the 2-minute drill. B-Reich, you're asking questions first. Fire away.
All right, pretty simple. Do you think Joe Douglas is our long-term GM of the future?
God, I hope so.
Great answer. If the Jets don't win 7 games, are they going to fire your man Adam Gase?
No.
I think they give him another year. Okay. What's the best team that the Jets are going to beat this year?
The New England Patriots.
Okay, good answer. With the 5 players that we talked about for our blockbuster moves topic, would you deal a second-round pick for any of those players and extend them?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, my question's for you. Is Leonard Williams in the contract season an All-Pro this year?
No.
Over or under 14 games played by Marcus May for the 2019 season?
Over 16 and a tremendous season. I think he bounces back.
Who is the best running back in New York, Le'Veon Bell or Saquon Barkley?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, their usage rates are going to be unbelievable. But you know what? I think Barkley's going to have the numbers. I'm going with my guy Lev Bell, 2.6. Let's go.
All day. And who is the best player on the Jets' defensive line this season?
That's another good question. I love Q. How about this? Off the grid, little sleeper. Going with the goose, baby. The goose is loose.
All right. Henry Anderson he's picking. That's the show for you. Keep us locked on our Twitter page. Keep us locked on Instagram. We'll be up on YouTube. We're getting it on Apple soon. We've got training camp coming up next week. So keep it right here on the Jed Up Podcast. For everyone, I'm Bryan Foti. For my boy B-Reich, everyone have a good night. And always remember to Jed Up.